Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast. This is episode 68, okay? And this is my next guest, Bri Bri. And we actually met on Threads, you guys. And we've been loving Threads because it's kind of one of the most like low maintenance, like super chill, kind of quiet, relaxed social media platforms. And so we met talking about motherhood. And so, Bri Bri, thanks for being here. Will you introduce yourself? Tell us about yourself.
Yes, hey, I'm Bri Bri. I am a single mom of two. I'm trained as a licensed clinical professional counselor, but that doesn't really resonate with me anymore. So now I'm kind of deciding if I'm going to go into testing for autism or not, or if I'm going to be a baker of cookies and deal cookies, and or this isn't so much a career path as it is something to do. But work one-on-one with an autistic kid in a high school, which I love to do. And then that would also allow me to put more into the content that I make, which is single mom empowerment content. Yeah. So that's me in a nutshell. But that's all career stuff. I like to stump people with this question. What are you or who are you? Without describing something like parenthood or wife, sister, daughter, without listing what you do. And so my answer to that, I modified it from something that Tracy Ellis Ross once said. I want people, when they are around me, to feel so safe that they think that they love me, but really they love the version of themselves that they are in my presence. When I heard her say that, I
Mm.
was like, yep, 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 yep. So that is me.
Beautiful. And you definitely exude that energy, you know. We only met like a few months ago, but it's deeply felt, girl, the way that you are so nurturing and open and safe in your content, but then also like in our offline stuff. You and I share voice notes often, and it's very much like no judgment zone, you know. Tell me what you're really thinking about, what you're really marinating on. And those safe spaces are crucial, foundational for humans in general, but also moms.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I don't know why I'm like this. I just think I was made like this.
You were.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. I was talking to you about all the career, just being so uncertain about which path I'd like to take.
Yeah,
Uh, I think part of what I'm struggling with is that it doesn't matter which path I take because my purpose isn't linked to a career path. My purpose is linked to how I show up in general, wherever I am.
exactly, girl. Showing up as you are, super full, super raw, super genuine, and present. So many folks are worried about the future or they're tripping about the past, but like, are you here now? And that's what someone needs to feel safe around you. Like, are you here? Are you like listening? Are you sitting with me? Or are you like elsewhere?
I think of my acupuncturist, and it's like sometimes I go there and I don't even get acupuncture. Sometimes I go there and I just like start crying, and she'll just put a blanket over me, and like, and we're just there in silence. And I'm like, all right, thank you, goodbye.
Thank you.
And it's just the most healing thing ever, worth every
Hell
penny.
yeah.
And it's her.
It's
It's
her.
it's her presence. I've even gone in there and she was upset, not with me. I had gone to see someone else and they like messed up my whole flow and she was so mad, but it was such a present and loving mad that I was like, you know when someone's mad around you and you feel like you have to fix it or
Hmm.
like even if you don't fix it, but you feel that feeling of like, oh my gosh, they're mad, like what do I do? I didn't feel that with her. She was literally just so embodied that like she could be mad and I didn't feel pressure to fix. I've never in my life experienced someone being mad and me not being like, well, maybe I can crack a little joke here and lighten the mood. Nothing. Like I see her as like not like goals, but like energy goals.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes. That's powerful. Being around someone and not needing to fix their mood or interfere with their experience. And I think of it like maybe it's like, well, she's got this. She's a powerful woman, so I trust her to like process and do what she needs to do. And she's advocating for me. And like
Yeah.
sometimes the mother gets angry because we are passionate about the problem, which is usually
Yes.
like the caregiving or lack thereof.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. She contains it well. Like not in a hiding or masking way. She didn't mask the fact that she was angry. She just contained it. Whereas I know in my experience when I'm angry, I don't contain it. I don't know how to contain it. Containing feels like masking. And so I'm trying to
Mm.
figure out like what is that middle ground? I feel like I have to feel my way through it. That's not something that she can just tell me how to do it. I have to feel, I have to get angry enough times that I'm able to learn how to contain it. Because she's got that kind of wisdom where it's like, you've lived 1,000 lives in however many years you've been here.
Mhm.
So it's
Mm.
funny because she looks at me and she's like, you've got ancient wisdom in you. And I'm like, that's a lot coming from you. I don't even know how to process that.
The crone is like, I see you, wise woman. And you're like,
Yeah,
me?
that's scary. That mother bear. I don't know. I feel like I'm feeling it, what we were just talking about with the nurse office thing. I'm just annoyed. Leave me alone, lady. Leave my kid alone. Like he'll be fine. You're disturbing my peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, I
Because
love that.
motherhood is hard enough.
It is. It really is. Yeah. And that mother energy that can like check you and move on. Like I'm not going to marinate. I'm not going to let this ruin my day, but something needs to be said so I can have some distance and a boundary here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, girl, I really love what you said about containing anger versus masking it.
Anger has been like one of my biggest emotional challenges, not in the sense of like I'm someone who blows up, because, I feel like I can count on one hand the number of times I've actually blown up in my entire life. It's been my biggest challenge in the sense of it was never acceptable to be angry. So I don't know how to be angry. And when my anger got to a point where I could no longer mask it, I still tried to mask it, if that makes sense. Like I didn't know how to just be angry. So I still tried to mask it. And so what happened was it came out as anxiety.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay, say more.
So my therapist actually picked up on this. And it's so funny. I just missed her so quick. I remember the exact sessions she said it. I had taken the session in the car. I was so angry with my dad. I can't remember what it was about, but he got on my nerves back then. I had a dream where I was like screaming. I blow up in my dreams. I was screaming at him in my dream, and I was describing this to my therapist, changed the subject and started talking about anxiety and like how, I just feel super anxious and I had a panic attack and da da da. And, I just don't know what's going on. And she's like, have you ever considered that your anxiety might be your anger trying to come out? And I was
Mm,
like, no, Megan, no. Like,
no.
that doesn't make any sense. And then like a week or so later after she said it, I was like clocking it. It's like, oh my fucking goodness, Megan was right.
How does she know?
And it was just so obvious. And since then, it's been so clear and so obvious. And to the point that, like, now, whenever I feel anxious, the first thing I'm like, what am I angry about? And if I can't answer that, then it's something else. But most of the time, it's something that I'm angry about. And it's just, I'm so used to suppressing the anger that suppression feeling became anxiety.
Hmm.
And so that's sort of how I related to my anger. Now it's like if I'm angry, I notice it. Like yesterday, I was fucking pissed yesterday. I got a letter from child support saying that they're closing my case. It's been 5 years. Like they wanted me to come in. They gave me like 2 days notice to come in.
What?
Um, yeah, they sent me a letter. I got it on Monday and they wanted me like there on a Wednesday at 10. So I responded to the email like, hey, da, 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 like I can't do this. Um, they never got back to me. And then, that was in October and they closed my case. Um, and they wanted me to come back in and give them the documents on my end that haven't changed in the last 5 years so they
Hmm.
can just use what they have on file. But they wanted me to come in and do it again for like the fourth time. And I was like, just use what you have. Anyway,
Yeah.
I was angry about that. And then I was angry about, oh, my dog got one of the couch cushions and just like shredded it when I wasn't feeling well and I fell asleep. So she waited until I was napping. And so I woke up to pillow fluff all over the floor. And then I went to go clean it up, right? I went to clean it up and there was pee under it. And I was like, what kind of party were you having, girlie? Like, what's good? And then I went to go just like neaten up the rest of my room. And then she also peed on the couch again. And I was like, she has like a bladder problem. So, Anyway, all that happened yesterday, and I was just like livid about everything, about life. I vented to my ex about it. He was like, well, because she's his dog too. He's like, well, can I call you? And then he called and he was just like, well, what? Like, is there something? He wanted me to do the thinking labor. He's like, is there something that I can do to help? And da 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 da. And it's like, first of all, I've asked you to buy certain things for her, and it's been like a month and a half now, and I still do not have these things. So like even if I did have an answer for this, for something I could ask of you, I'm not gonna ask it because you haven't done the tiny things that I've asked. I
Yeah.
was holding that in. I was holding it in because he's going through a lot. And I know that if he could, he would. Like he's not like a if he wanted to, he would. He's if he could, he would. He literally can't because I've seen what he does when he can. And so I didn't say that. I knew he was working and I didn't want to like ruin the rest of his work day. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna sit on this anger. He already knows, he knows me really well. So he already knows what I'm thinking. And he apologized without me having to say anything. So like I was just so mad. I was so mad. And then also my eating schedule was off when I don't eat. Um,
Yeah.
my body's like, do you hate us? Like we hate you too.
We hate you too.
It was just like a weird day.
With the hanger. Yeah, like the triple
Yeah.
threat.
Oh my gosh, it was so bad. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna let myself be angry. Like I'm not gonna suppress this. I'm not gonna pretend I'm not angry. I'm going
Yeah.
to stomp around. I'm going to like I was walking around like this all day yesterday, just like eyebrows down, chin tucked, and just like angry, intense eyes at everything. So I just let myself be angry and like, I did a lot of rearranging, not necessarily to clean up, but to throw things around, like,
Mm.
and it worked. It helped. And I ended the day not angry, and I'm not angry today. So
Yeah.
that kind of thing,
Handled it.
that,
Yeah.
yeah. Whereas before I would have just held it in until I had a panic attack.
Mm. Mm.
That was
Oh,
like my entire existence. And I think I'm glad I had a lot of stuff happen that led to me having panic attacks every day. But I think a lot of it was just anger. Like I never processed the anger of, um, you know, my kid's dad moving away, cheating, and then, having to call off the engagement and stuff like that. I never processed the anger of, because it's hard to process this kind of anger.
yeah.
Um, when my best friend took her own life. Like, sure, that was devastating, but like also, what the fuck? Like,
What
how
the
dare
fuck?
you leave me? Like, I couldn't say that for the longest. I felt so guilty saying that. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, like how dare she? I can feel both, right? And that comes back to that container, right?
Mm.
I can feel the grief and the loss of her just not being here in general. I can feel the grief and the loss of someone that I cared about so deeply, feeling so much, sorry, my brother, so much pain that she felt like that was her only way out. Like
Yeah.
that hurt a lot to think about. And then, processing the anger of how dare you not tell me? How dare you just do
Mm.
this? How dare you not leave me something to know what was going on in your mind? Like I thought we were friends. Like I thought like all of that stuff, the betrayal, all of it. It
Mm.
feels weird to say that someone committing suicide is betraying someone else, but that's how it felt. That's how it felt.
Yeah.
So I was denying myself feeling that for the longest because it felt wrong to feel betrayed by someone who was going through so much pain. Um, but I did.
Yeah.
And so once I sort of opened myself up to being okay with, those shadow side feelings,
Yes.
that opened a whole new container within me.
Ooh. Beautiful. A whole new container and way of responding, right? So, like for the anger, for example, used to hold it on, holding it, like other people have more problems, so let me just hold it and then you like explode later. But like almost the anxiety attack is like an implode.
Yes.
Like now you're taking it out on yourself and you're like,
Yeah.
fuck, and maybe it's easier to just be pissy for a second instead of like having this panic like survival
Yeah.
reaction.
Right, right. And anger is such a powerful emotion. That's another thing. Like when I get through a certain amount of anger, like for most of the day, the anger was kind of not necessarily paralyzing, but like I didn't want to move, right?
Mm.
But anger is a mobilizing emotion. And so I was able to mobilize. What was it that made, oh, I had to go get food. I only eat certain things right now because of stuff, reasons, health stuff, chronic trauma stuff. Um, and so I was out of turkey and sweet potatoes. And so I had to go to the store. And so I was like, if I wait any longer, I'm going to get into like danger territory with it's going to go from being hangry to being anxious, which
Yeah.
is really hard to come out of. So I was like, let me just get up and go get this food. And so I stomped my way to the car and angrily drove to the grocery store and I stomped in there like full,
Right.
chin down, eyebrows down. If anybody spoke to me, I was going to say something rude or curt. Like, do you not see my face? Leave me alone. But no one did. Uh,
Mhm.
so I did all that and that got me moving. And so then once I got home, like I didn't stop moving until the anger had moved through. It's a mobilizing emotion. It's a lot of energy. And so if you just sit
Yes.
there and you don't move that energy, like I mean that's what a panic attack feels like to me. It feels like all this energy but like being frozen at the same time.
Mm.
That's what it feels like to me. I know it feels different for different people. And like I'll have this urge to run, not actually run, because like I don't run, but I'll have this urge to run when I'm having a panic attack. But like this fear of not like I can't.
Yeah.
And that's very uncomfortable.
Almost like you're so afraid that you don't even want to move. Like moving would
Yes.
make it worse. But when you're angry, you need to move. It's mobilizing, just like you said. For me, I do like high intensity interval training at Orange Theory. I do dance, I do yoga. Yin yoga, I love, but I also need to like sweat and I need to be challenged. That shit fuels me. And then Girl, yeah, the reorganizing. I think that's huge. Like being a former organizer, like that shit can clear so much out of your field, out of your psyche. And sometimes you're mad because of what's happening right in front of you. And then sometimes you're mad because you're just looking at all this shit that you haven't addressed, you haven't dealt with it, and it's like staring you in the face, and you're finally mad and you're like, fuck it, like I don't need this. And then
Yeah.
it's liberating.
Yeah, it is. It is. I have definitely experienced both. And it's funny because you can kind of like, because they're so similar, you can kind of just like flow between both. There's been times that my space has reached a threshold where I'm like, okay, I literally, everyone needs to shut up. I'm just gonna clean up. Like, don't even look at me and don't come in my space while I'm cleaning up. And then as I'm cleaning, it's just like, I'll remember something that someone said that I didn't necessarily speak on the way that I wanted to speak on, and now I want to speak on it, and that kind of thing as you're moving stuff around, and then vice versa, which is kind of what happened yesterday, where I was angry about specific things, and then that kind of helped. I mobilized it and used it to clear my space a bit.
That's beautiful, girl. Something I wanted to touch on was they often say that men don't have a safe space to feel angry and they suffer from a lot of depression, like repressed rage. And that's why their suicide rates are really high, especially in like January after the holidays. So, men needing a safe way to express because the stereotype is like violence and like, I don't know, like problems like externally, but then women and mothers having a safe space to express anger. Like we often are the anchor for the male to
Yeah.
control his wild ass, right? But it's like, look, man, if I don't have outlets and I'm over here trying to contain everybody else and give them like the peace that they need, like, how is the mother gonna, how is she gonna like repair her own and like rebalance herself?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's like, I think just in I'll just speak for Western patriarchal society, but like I can see it being an issue in other spaces as well. But our relationship with anger is just so weird. The term that's coming to mind is gaslighting. Someone has it worse than you, so don't be angry. It's just like, yeah, no, the anger is not there. It's don't be angry.
Yeah. Don't. Like you can
Okay.
just exit, like
Right. Like, thank you.
unsubscribe.
But like people think that way.
Yeah.
Like most people think that way. It's
Mm,
like you're not allowed to be angry.
yeah,
Being angry is bad. And it's like, no, anger is like, we need anger.
we do.
Anger is, how they say, fight or flight, right? Anger is fight.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, that's that fight mechanism. Like, as someone who has never fought a day in my life, these hands have never touched anyone in violence.
Damn, girl.
But it's like, that's why I lean so heavily towards flight and
Ooh,
fawn and freeze. Like
fun.
those are mine. I don't fight.
Yes.
And so people who lean heavily towards fight, like my ex is, he was a heavy um fighter and starting to repress that because, fighting is bad, which
Yeah.
it like when you are throwing hands, unless it's in like a constructive, competitive environment, you're a fighter for
Mm,
real. Um, which is a healthy outlet, if you're listening, you're wondering,
yeah.
what's a healthy outlet for my anger? And you really want to throw hands and you lean towards fight, like take kickboxing, Muay Thai, like all those fighting things,
Yes.
try it.
Yeah.
Even tennis, like my therapist recommended I get back into tennis because I can just, envision the ball is my kid's dad. And I was like, that is such a great idea.
Girl, yes.
But like that, it's not, anger is something that is so intensely human And to sit there and be like, don't be angry is like telling someone not to pee. Like you have it, if
Yeah.
you don't, you will die a slow, painful death. Like
Yes.
you have to be angry. And so where it's different in men and women, but like, it's, when I say that, it's not all men and not all
Yes.
women. And, anyone who is in between or on the outskirts, wherever it fits, wherever you fit. For a lot of men, when they bottle it, it becomes something that they either violently externalize,
Hmm.
which when you said what you said about, what'd you say? That
Repressed
the
rage.
mothers are the ones who sort of have to hold space then for, yeah, that they also, the thing that popped into my head, which was kind of like morbid, was, or you said they become the containers, and I was like, or the punching bags,
Ooh.
right? Which is sad, but very true.
Yeah.
Not for everyone, but like it happens a lot more often uh,
Hmm.
than I think a lot of people would think. So, men tend to externalize it, right? And I literally watched my ex in coming out of externalizing, but not really knowing what to do with his anger. I saw it turn into anxiety. Like it just
Ooh.
over time, he just became more and more anxious. And it was like, yeah, because like your body's used to doing something with the anger, and now you've decided that the thing that it was doing was harmful, which it was, but you
Yeah.
haven't replaced it with
Right.
something healthy. And so it's just bottling up. And, you know, people, decide when they're ready to hear things like that.
Yeah.
Or, maybe he was ready to hear it, but wasn't ready to act on it. But that's his
Hmm.
business now. But then for women, we tend to internalize and implode and all of that stuff. But then what you just described of like men dealing with depression, and that's that freeze. Depression is a freeze. That's sort of their imploding, right? Because they don't feel safe to express it. And, they suppress the that externalizing behavior, which, good in the sense of like if the alternative is them hurting someone, um, then yay for suppressing it. But like it's about finding that healthy outlet. But when everywhere you go, you're being told, oh, just don't feel angry.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
of course people are gonna go down that path. And it's sad because it's like there's so many other options.
There's so many options. Yeah. And a lot of it is like numbing, right? Well,
Yes.
folks are like, oh, I can't, be passionate, say what I need, stick up for myself at work or at home. They don't have a third space. That's a
Yeah.
hot topic right now, another place to commune outside of your home and your career. What you said was like super powerful. And there's so many videos and movies about this. Like it's insane. Jennifer Lopez, Sandra Bullock, like I can't even, women becoming the punching bag,
Yeah.
right? We're either the container and we have to hold it down and we have to be the mature one and we need to ground you and like calm you and like we're, doing everything so you don't fucking have a meltdown, or we're the punching bag, you take it out on us, or like the therapist, you like rely on us to solve your emotional and mental issues. And it's like, look, dude, this isn't even fun anymore. Like this is not my job. Like where's the joy? Where's the reciprocity here? And
Yeah.
it creates a lot of distance and like destroys trust, dissolves a lot of what was like attractive in the beginning.
Yeah. 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 Oh gosh. Now you're just describing my breakup, my most recent breakup. It was like he and I are still very much the same people that fell in love with each other at the beginning of the relationship, but a lot of that was happening, but not in I was never, he would never put his hands on me or anything like that. Um, Other exes, maybe.
Yeah.
My kid's dad did.
I
Maybe like
believe that
once,
every
but
woman has experienced it at least once, whether they
yeah,
talk about it or not. Same with sexual assault. Like I
Yeah,
firmly believe that whether they're gonna ever say it or maybe they're an elder or they're on their deathbed and they finally come out with it, like women have been this
forever.
unfortunate like means to an end for
Yeah,
men, you know?
forever, forever.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a time where it wasn't like that.
Ooh, girl. Before free will, before we got to Earth and like
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know, man.
Like, ooh, okay. Um, and that's not like a blanket statement for every single person ever, but it's like on average,
Mm,
it happens so often. But that was definitely a big trend that was happening in the relationship where it was good. And then I started to sense him hiding things, but not in like a cheating kind of way, but in a he didn't want to talk to me about the things that were going on with him because he actually is someone who's like, well, I don't want to dump all my stuff on you. You have your own stuff going on. You're dealing with your stuff. I need to deal with my stuff, right? But his way of dealing with his stuff wasn't, it was like a lot of intellectualizing and not a lot of getting into the body. And so I tried to nudge him toward, gentle nudges towards the body stuff. Um, and maybe he just wasn't ready for it. Maybe he just doesn't resonate with it, whatever it might be. But he didn't go that direction and things just got worse and worse. And he started to like hyper fixate on his job more and more and more. And I was starting to feel like the other woman, but to the job, not
yeah.
to someone else. And that was like his distraction mechanism. That was what was it you said? It was how he was coping with all the anger. It was how he was sort of numbing the anger, but he was going somewhere that made him more angry. And it was just hard to watch
Yeah.
and then watch it and then also sort of because that took up all his capacity, right? He didn't have the capacity to for like any form of emotional intimacy anymore. And it was
Mm,
just like, why, what are we doing?
what do we
If
do?
you're not changing that, and if that is your focus and, work is your priority right now, like I don't want to stand in the way of that. I'm not going to tell you to stop, but like, what am I doing here? Because I want emotional intimacy. I want whirlwind romance. I want all of these things, and you can't provide them for me because you're focused on something else. What am I to do? I
Yeah.
literally said that to him. I was like, what am I to do? What are we to do?
Yeah.
And then he was like, I guess we should break up then. And I was like, I guess so.
Damn. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that anger,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like for real, dude. Like for real. But also, like, I can't make you do shit. I can't make you heal. I can't make
no,
you want more for yourself. I can't make you take care of yourself. Like,
yeah. And that's just it. He wants all those things for himself. His way of going about it, I won't say it was wrong because I can't decide that for him, but it wasn't working for the dynamic.
yeah,
So it was sad. It's very sad,
it is
but
very,
necessary.
yeah, necessary for both of y'all, you know?
Yeah. And we're both better off when I see him from time to time because he does show up to help with the sometimes when he can.
Yeah.
And he looks so much better. And
Mm.
I look better too. Like we just look better.
Ooh, yeah,
So it's like, okay, yeah, we made the right decision.
yeah, yeah. And like, thank you for the time, and it's over.
Yeah. Yeah. While I was angrily cleaning yesterday, we did a jar of like all the reasons I love you, as well as like the poems that he wrote like on a weekly basis that eventually led to him asking me to be his girlfriend. They're all in there. And I was cleaning and I was like, I should throw this away. And I was like, I can't part with this. I can't part with this. This is a reminder of how I deserve to be treated.
Ooh, girl.
And so I was looking at it, I was like, oh my gosh, like that relationship was such a gift. And even though it was temporary, he
Yeah.
still very much treated me exactly how I deserve to be treated. And
Mm.
so I'm not going to forget that. And I'm not going to get rid of that, at
Yeah.
least not yet. And if I do get rid of it, I will give it to him. I won't I won't just like throw it away without giving that to him first because maybe it holds some wisdom for him too.
Right. Or at least offering, you know.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, that's so interesting because when we think about feng shui or organizing, it's like, how does it make you feel? And the way you just said it means that you've done therapy, right? Like you've done the work, you've reflected, you have, like kind of put it to bed in a way where you look at something and it doesn't upset you, like if that jar was like difficult to look at every day, definitely like recycle that shit. But if it
Yeah.
it reminds you like, you know what? No, like I have a ring, dude, and it's not this one, but I have a ring that I bought when I broke up with my longtime boyfriend after moving here to St. Louis, and it was intense, right? And so when I bought the ring, it was like, Anna, this is your rebirth. This is your promise ring for you. And some people could say that it was like heavy on the breakup, but it was like, no, dude, heavy on the me. Like I choose me. And the speaking up, right? The throat chakra can get like sat on and just like shoved away and, minimized. But girl, yeah, like what do these mementos mean to you?
Yeah, I love that. I love that ring idea. I might have to steal it. I love that.
It was beautiful. And I just like intuitively did it. It was kind of on the fly. And I was like, fuck it. It was right before the holidays too. And I was like, you know what? You deserve some shit. Like you've never really like
Yeah.
spent money on yourself like this. And then after that, like I got my chain. I got like another ring. And I was like, Anna,
Yeah.
like treat yourself how you would want to be treated. Like whether there's
Yes.
a man there to buy it for you or not, And like when all of me and my boss bitches are balling, like you bet I will be giving them nameplates and bamboo earrings
Yes.
and like fly shit. But in the meantime, Anna, do it for you. Like, what are you waiting for?
Yeah, no, yes, 100%. Um, it feels different because this is something that I find myself running into at times. It's like, I want to go to the plant store, right? And like, can I take myself? Yeah, but it feels different when someone else takes you and someone else buys it for you, right? Yes, that is true. And you can still go to the plant store.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, kind of like getting the anger out immediately. Can you get like the joy out immediately or like give it to you on site? Like, I don't need to delay my gratification. Like, if I got it and I'm inspired and my body's ready to do it, like, why would I like deny myself?
yeah, no, I love that. That's awesome. Wait, hold on. I have to sit on that for a second. Because the same way that I used to suppress anger, I didn't realize I was doing this, but I suppressed joy too.
Ooh,
Because especially after the loss of my friend, everything was fine. Everything was fine. She texted me one day and she was like, I love you. Right. And we said that to each other at least once a day. Right. So I was just like, oh, yeah. And I was trying to focus on work. I was like, we text all day. I need to be an adult and focus on work. And so I didn't respond. And so, I go about the rest of the day texting her. The next day, go about like, our relationship was such that like there was no such thing as, oh my gosh, she hasn't responded in a day. Like, does she hate me? Never. Um, and so, I the next day I was like, oh, she must be busy with the kids or whatever. I'm just gonna drop this here and she'll get to it when she gets to it. And later that day, I get home from work and I have this weird Instagram DM from someone I've never met before. And she was like, did you hear what happened in Desiree? And I'm like, why is this stranger talking about her? And so I screenshot because there was all this drama going on with her husband, soon to be ex-husband. Um, so I screenshotted it and I sent it to her. And I was like, do you know her? Is she one of, I don't want to say his name, for potential legal reasons because there was legal stuff going on. But is is this one of his girls or whatever? and she didn't respond. And then I like read what she actually said because I didn't fully read it. And then I was like, oh my gosh, wait, what? Why am I hearing about this from a stranger? And then it hit and I just collapsed, right?
Oh,
Uh,
fuck.
and actually, I collapsed like right about here, like in this physical space. Um, and ever since then, right? Like whenever I feel, or I've been working on this, so it's gotten better, but for a while, whenever I felt happy or whenever I felt joy, I was like, something bad is going to snatch this joy away from me.
Ooh.
Right. And so I learned because it did happen a few more times with other stuff just over the it was just a really tough few years, honestly. That was like the beginning of a really tough few years. An initiation process, if you will.
Yeah.
And it's like that was always on my mind. So I learned to just not feel joy
Mm.
or to suppress the joy or to not let myself feel too much to the point that sometimes I would get so excited that I like the bad thing that happened was my own panic attack. Like it was just fully manufactured by my fear that something bad would happen. And then I sort of created that something bad with a panic attack. Yeah. And then I realized more recently with this whole, realizing I'm autistic back in August, like some of that, I think I was also afraid of expressing my joy because the level of wanting to express my joy was unacceptable.
Mm.
Right? Like I want to like jump around, I want to like scream, I want to like
Yeah.
dance and stim and all these things. And I'd never done that stuff before, ever, because it's embarrassing. That's not what normal people do.
Mm.
And so containing that also, I think, created anxiety. The same way, containing anger. I think if you just contain any big emotion, big mobilizing emotion, because joy is just as mobilizing as anger,
Yeah.
that it can just lead to that anxiety.
Mm. Yeah. Girl, that's good. And it makes me think about toddlers. Like you and I are both moms. We've both been through the toddler phase twice. And how they're so explosive, dude. Like even like in the morning getting ready for school, like they wear it on their fucking sleeves. And for
Yeah.
adults, it's really hard for us because we've been told you can't do this. That's too
Yeah.
much. And so as we're talking, I'm like, damn, like am I influencing my babies and like conditioning them to like not do the primal urges? Like anger is a primal fucking situation, like that shit is
Yeah.
DNA. And so is joy and
Yeah.
dance. Like you said, like when I'm joy, like my arms want to go out. I want
Yes.
to jump in the air. I want to like make noise. Like joy isn't like a smile. It's like
Right.
it's way more than that.
It's funny that you say that because that's like the extent of me expressing joy, where it'll just be like a smile. I literally wouldn't even let myself, and I actually still struggle with this. I won't let myself laugh that hard. Like if
Hmm.
something is really funny, I like run away from it because I don't want to laugh too.
Do too much, right? Or like
Yeah.
be too silly.
Yeah. Even when I'm by myself, I'm like, who is judging me but me?
Who's gonna check me?
Right. And so in those by myself times, I'm like, all right, like let's just do whatever it is we want to do.
Yeah. Mm, that's
But
beautiful.
yeah, that with yeah, especially my son. Well, no, my daughter too. My daughter is like that, but I haven't taught her to be like that. It's like the DNA that I have and that I have, epigenetically influenced with all my masking throughout my life
Mm,
was given to her because I had her way before I had any of these realizations, right? And so I'm curious if I would have another kid, I
yeah.
wonder how differently they would present with any epigenetic modifications that I have made with all the work and healing and stuff. Because that's real, like
That's very real. My friend talks about it all the time. Her older sister, daughters versus the youngest, and the older daughters sometimes get angry, like, "Mom, you treated us like rah rah rah," but she gets
Yeah.
gentle parenting, and it's like, but also like mothers grow too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, you know what? You're right. I'll pay for your therapy. Like, sorry.
Right. Like, yeah, there's a saying
Actually, I'm
like,
paying for her therapy now, so I don't have to pay for it later. But if I need to pay for it later, I'll pay for it later.
yeah, I mean, we need outlets. We need healthy, safe spaces, just like your
Yeah.
whole platform is about. And just like the whole healing is about expression. It's about not
Yes.
keeping it in. Like keeping it in is the problem. That's how we got here.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell well, I don't see clients anymore, but the clients that I've seen, whenever they're holding stuff in, I'm like, would you hold in your pee? And they're like, what? Like, what does that have to do with anything? I'm like, what if you held in your pee like you held in your anger? How long do you think you would live?
Right. It's equally as important. Just because you can't see it, right? Like, doesn't matter. Just like you talked about the invisible labor, like the invisible energy that needs to be expressed.
Yeah, and it becomes visible. Like, I wish I could show you. Well, I can show you. I can send you pictures if you're interested on that level. But the difference in even how I look now versus how I looked last year, like on the surface, like nothing has changed. I weigh the same. My hair actually, it might have been a little bit shorter or whatever. Like nothing has changed, but something about, and same thing with my ex. Um, but there was a lot that I was masking that I didn't realize, because if I knew that I was masking, I would have not. But like I didn't know I was masking back then. And that's exhausting. And so it's like, yes, that energy is invisible, but you can see it.
Yes.
You can see it in the sunken eyes. You can see it in the dark circles. You can see it in just how drained and tired someone looks because all
Yeah.
their energy is going into suppressing energy or into
Hi.
just whatever pattern they're in. Like it's there, you can see it.
That's good, girl. Yeah, like it will come out eventually, whether it's your actions or experiencing dis-ease, literally out of balance, it will come out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like autoimmune conditions.
that's what I'm saying, girl. That's what
Yep,
I'm saying.
yep.
The
When
body
I
doesn't
talk,
attack itself for no reason. Girl, please.
yeah, yeah, no, whenever I talk to someone with autoimmune conditions, or an autoimmune condition, and they allow the conversation to go beyond what they're physically experiencing and what things have happened and what emotional triggers might be there, it's really profound. I didn't think that this was a thing until I encountered someone who had experienced something extremely traumatic. Like, I'm not even going to say it. Her legs stopped working. She was doing the dishes and her legs just like fell out from under her. And that just started her going to doctors and being like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? It's like, girl,
That
that
happened to
that
me,
thing that
girl.
happened is what's wrong.
Ooh.
But that's still hanging out in your body. And your body was like, I would rather just not.
Yep.
And it just didn't. It didn't. And I've
Girl.
had so many clients over the years, especially single moms, actually, because
Yeah.
the burden is so heavy if you don't have support. I want to say it isn't genetic, and sometimes it's not genetic, but it also can be genetic in the sense of like epigenetic, because you watched your mom do this, and your mom watched your grandmother do this, and your grandmother watched your great grandmother do this. And it's literally encoded in your DNA the same way how they learned about epigenetics, with it, which is in, I think it was rats. It was either rats or mice,
Yep.
where they would feed them something and then shock them at the same time, to the point that either the next generation or the third generation would just not even go near that food without
Ooh,
being exposed to being shocked. Just did not go
girl.
near the food. And it's like, this is an accumulation of trauma.
Yes.
But the same way that you can write, you can pass that down. You can change it
Yes,
and then pass that down.
you can. Everything is
It is
passed down.
reversible.
Yeah, the good and the bad.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And nature versus nurture when we think about like our children, right? Like how much is this? you and your individual disposition and your own fucking shit, and then how much of this is like the environment and like your external world. Girl, but this has been like extremely enlightening.
So
Yeah,
fun.
so fun. Okay, well, okay, if you're gonna wrap us up, is there anything else that you want people to know or any final thoughts to leave us with today?
Don't hold in your anger, but find a healthy way to let it out. And there are lots of healthy ways. I don't want to be that person who's just like, oh yeah, just find a better way and doesn't give you any. But there are literally so many. I did mention a few, like the fighting. Like if you're a fighter, find yourself a fighting sport to do. If you are a fleer or a flighter, I just feel like that's not a word, but I want to say flighter.
I like
If you're
flight.
a flighter, um, then I mean, if you don't think that running is demonic like I do, uh, isn't there like a verse in the Bible that says, "Wicked is he who runs without being chased" or something? I don't know. I'll find any
Damn.
excuse not to run. The only way you could get me to run growing up was if I was running after a tennis ball.
Okay.
What I will do that is like running in slow motion. So like doing the running in slow motion, I'll do that. That helps apparently doing any of the stuff. So like even fighting, like if you're really feeling it in your body and you can't get to a class or whatever, like if you like punch in slow motion, that is said to help as long as you're channeling the energy like through that slow punch.
That's good.
And then freeze. Freeze is a complicated one. I don't know enough about somatics to be able to speak on how to come out of freeze safely and effectively. I know that it requires a lot of gentleness to come out of freeze, but someone who talks about this extensively and whose work I absolutely love, his name is Luis Mojica. His Instagram is Holistic Life Navigation. His main thing is just somatics in general. Yeah, don't hold in your anger and don't hold in your joy either. Joy is an easier one to just kind of like make yourself express because it feels good to express, but the anger one is a bit hard.
Oh my God, thank you for dropping that resource, girl. I'll be sure to put that in the show notes so people can check out the somatics details with holistic life navigation. Girl, thank you for that. And
Yeah.
thank you for everything that you shared today. Like I really appreciate your honesty, your vulnerability, your truth. Like it's refreshing, it's encouraging, and it's like rare too. I want all of my folks to be able to connect with you, girls. So please share. How can folks follow you, stay connected, engage? Let us know.
Yeah, so I am currently on Instagram. I'm currently on Threads. I'm moving away from what I've been calling fast social media, not because I think it's bad or anything, I just don't resonate with it anymore. You can find me on my podcast, which is called The Single Mom Glow Up. I have a Discord server. Would love to have any single moms in there. It's a space where, sure, I will be offering my empowerment content and stuff like that. I want it to be a space where y'all can hang out and chat, and it's a community.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much, girl. This was really special. I can't wait for folks to hear about this. I think it's going to be really important. Everybody enjoy, share with your friends, text somebody, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye bye.
If you're looking for the most ethical, powerful, and magical fucking aromatherapy on the planet, so you can be a better bitch and just like totally fucking taken care of, I got the shit for you. I created this skincare line as an extension of my high school senior project. All natural aromatherapy experience because that's what we did back in the day. On our priestess bad bitch, queen shits. We used oils, the purest fucking oils that not only penetrated your skin, it anointed you. Waking up first thing in the morning, clearing yourself between meetings, before you pick up your kids, that's the kind of shit I'm on. Almost like if you were saging, but you don't need a lighter. So let me introduce you guys. These make beautiful gifts. A holiday gift, for a Valentine's gift, or a galentine for your clients, a sister circle, somebody's birthday coming up. I also have an affiliate program. So if you want to sign up and you want to be a brand ambassador for Align with Anna, you get paid. To learn more about that, please go to alignwithanna.com/get paid and let's grow together. You can also shop wholesale, Etsy, and Shopify. As a mom, as someone who really values her self-care and her routine, I use all of these daily, and it's gonna come in a sweet little box. I will put some beautiful tissue in there. I love you. Thank you for tuning in. Shop today.